Yeah.
All right, we are live. What's going on, everybody? JV Wins is here. Dogon SS is here. We are back with another week, another video in the Conscious Approach video series on the Conscious Approach channel on YouTube. Appreciate everybody for tuning in as usual. Looking forward to doing this week's video because I think we have a nice selection of topics to talk about. So before we get into it, as always, I like to preface our video by saying that if you appreciate the commentary on this channel, if you like what we have to say, even if you don't like what we say, go ahead and subscribe to the channel so that you can get the notification whenever we publish new videos and new content to the channel. The channel is growing. We're consistent with the content. And so we certainly appreciate everybody supporting logical content as we continue to make logical content. So go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe, comment on the video because we always pay attention to the comments and we comment back as long as it's not a troll comment. We will largely ignore the trolls, even though we welcome the trolls. We just won't reply to them. But otherwise, we pay attention to comments. We respond. We're always trying to get actively involved in what's going on. And we just like making this commentary. So if you like this channel, if you support logical content, if you like the commentary on this channel, subscribe to the channel because we certainly appreciate it. Now, with that out of the way, we're going to go ahead and get started. First up, we're going to talk about Drake. So Drizzy, one of the biggest names in the hip hop scene, if not the biggest, is making headway because he is entering into the jewelry scene. So Drake is sort of Drake. I think it's safe to say that Drake is a female troll. And I think he embraces his status as a female troll. He actively talks about the nature of women, even though he exacerbates some of the dynamics that play into women's nature. But I think he talks about it in a purposeful way because he kind of shows, hey, this is what y'all are about, and I'm living proof that y'all can't change or exit out of your nature because I can talk about you openly and point these flaws out, and you'll still give me what I want because you'll just do whatever you can for whatever it is that your motivation is, whether it's attention, money, fame, whatever the case may be. So Drake is one of those guys. I'm not really a fan of his music per se, but his antics when it comes to women can at times be entertaining. And so he recently put out some content about a piece of jewelry that he is, kind of releasing out into the mainstream area of the consumer space. And apparently this necklace is fixed with 42 engagement rings, which are meant to signify the 42 different times that he almost proposed. Now, whether that's true or not, whether he actually almost proposed on 42 separate occasions is neither here nor there. I think at this point, I think it's just the observation around the jewelry itself that is interesting. So we're going to go ahead and play this clip first. And then I'm going to read an excerpt from a TMZ article, which gets into more of a background on what the necklace is about. But first, we're going to go ahead and play this. 45 seconds, not too bad. This is sort of a video representation of what Drake's necklace is all about.
Months. Every diamond hand-selected, inspected to only suit perfection. This monumental art piece was assembled using 351.38 carats of diamonds, mounted in 18K white gold. Each stone meticulously set, utilizing the eagle claw technique. Previous engagements, for all the times he thought about it, but never did. A true wonder of the jewelry world, presented by Alex Moss New York and Drake.
Yeah, that ass.
So yeah, it's called 42 Engagements. And here on TMZ, here's an excerpt. I won't share the article, but I'll just read it real quick. It says Drake necklace with 42 engagement ring diamonds for all the times I wanted to propose. Drake isn't afraid to fall in love, and now he's got an insanely flashy piece of jewelry to prove it. A necklace with 42 engagement ring diamonds for all the times he's wanted to propose. Celebrity jeweler Alex Moss tells TMZ Champagne Poppy's new piece is called Previous Engagements, a tribute to all the women Drizzy contemplated asking to marry him but never went through. In total, we're told the piece's 42 stones count for 351.38 carats in diamonds. On top of all the ice, it's made using 18 karat white gold and was set using the eagle claw technique. Alex tells us the entire thing took 14 months to complete and was built by hand in New York City, though he won't reveal how much it cost. Drake debuted at Lil Baby's birthday concert in Atlanta last Saturday at State Farm Arena. 42 may seem like a lot, but there's always room to add more for the certified lover boy. And as usual, all relevant links that we use for content in this video will be provided in the description of this video, so you can check those out for yourself. But previous engagements. So this is a new type of spin on how to parlay your previous, near relationships and near marriages by turning it into a massive, super expensive, iced out chain or necklace. What do you think about what Drake's got going on with this necklace?
I think that well, first of all, guys, we're on a race to 1K right now. So please hit that subscribe button. That would be greatly appreciated. All right. We're on a way to 1K. All right. And as far as Drake is concerned and his eagle claw technique chain, I really find it I think the word you use, trolling women, is good. I think that's a good way of surmising what this piece is supposed to represent. Here's the thing. Now you spoke of hypergamy before. And if there's not anybody on the top of the food chain like Drake is, I don't know what women are really shooting for. The average everyday video vixen want to look like Instagram modelish type of woman, even a celebrity woman. If you're shooting up that ladder, Drake is right up there at the top of everything. So I find it perplexing that, him being at the top of the food chain, ready to put a ring on something, but something going awry or something not adding up enough for him to actually go through with it. One may add that it's probably commitment issues. I would probably say that he saw things in these women that was not wife material. He didn't want to get Bezos or anything else like that down the line where he would have to split, half his royalties or whatever the hell, else that he might have going on. So I think that this chain represents the various bodies that he's acquired. It's a flex too. Like, hey, y'all struggle to get one woman. I had at least 42. So it's a flex. It's Drake. It's rap. It's all of that. So it's a lot tied into all of this. But I think my main takeaway is that it's basically saying something to, just not all women, but women who try to shoot up this super hypergamous ladder, that I vet my women, and I vet them so much that I went through 42 of them. And just because you came into my life doesn't mean you won't be the 43rd. So I think that's kind of where he's coming from with this. But how about you, sir? How do you feel about the eagle claw technique on this?
Yeah, I think that plays a role into it. And oddly enough, and this is why I call him a woman troll, I call him a troll of females. He does things like this knowing that there's nothing that he can do or say to limit the amount of women who are waiting in line to try and be number 43 in the final one. He knows this. So he knows that he can make music videos. What's the name of the music video he made recently where essentially he's getting married to like hundreds of women in the music.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Right. So he knows, and you say he's near the top of the food chain. I think when it comes to women in hip hop, Drake might be number one.
Yeah.
And he knows that he can do stuff like this and be as egregiously disrespectful as he wants. And no matter how egregiously disrespectful he gets, he knows that there's a flock of women who are waiting to try and be number 43. And each one of those women thinks that they have what it takes to be 43 and the last one, and that no one will come after me. But they're not, which is why they're waiting in that line. And they'll just end up being another body to be laid at the feet of Drake's, enormous body count at this point. I think Drake's number itself far exceeds 42. I just think 42, if this is true, is the number of women that he actually maybe at some point considered marriage with. But I think his actual number is far greater than that.
Of course.
So Drake reminds me of many guys out here. I would even put myself into this category at various points in my life, if I'm going to be completely honest.
Okay.
For the sake of full disclosure, Drake reminds me he reminds me of a lot of guys walking around out here who say that they want the relationship thing, or they intrinsically believe that they are built for it, but in practice they do the exact opposite. And so saying that they're built for it is a nice sentiment, but in actuality they just refuse to come to terms with the fact that they're not built for it in reality. So I have a friend, and you know who this person is, we both do. We used to have countless conversations talking about women, and he was always talking about how he wants to do the marriage and family thing, but it's all of these rotten women, and it's the women's fault as to why he can't get into a relationship and get married. So in other words, I would definitely be down for the settling down type of life. I just can't seem to find the right woman to do this with, because all these women are trash. It's essentially what he believed. And after a while, I would entertain that notion because he just kept saying it and he seemed convicted whenever he spoke on it. But after all of the nights of going to the club, getting numbers, one night in chicks, just trying to get numbers up, trying to get your roster so that you have a flock of 3 to 5 women who you can simultaneously communicate and have sex with at the same time. After all of that, over a course of an extended period of time, it became apparent to me that this is just something that you like to say. So in your mind, you romanticize over the notion that you're a settled down, committed, one woman marriage, family relationship type guy. But really, you're not really about that. You just say that you're about it because you feel as though it's the right thing to say. Drake strikes me as that type, but he just so happens to be a hip hop star, a rapper. So he can make all of these songs in the world talking about how he's just looking for a good woman and wants to, find the right one and get married and settle down. But the 42 near engagements and his non-disclosure agreements suggest otherwise. I think Drake is fully entrenched in being a Casanova. He has the power to do it. He has the ability to do it. And there's nothing that's stopping him from doing it because there's no consequence to bear. It doesn't matter how many times he cheats on, gets caught cheating on, stepping out on, being with however many women he wants. It doesn't matter. He's never going to pay a consequence, because there's always going to be the next chick stepping up to plate to be the next one to get with Drake. And so because there's an absence of consequence on his end, it's easier for him to go about being a modern day real life Casanova, despite his sensibilities speaking to him wanting to do the opposite thing. He just so happens to be someone who is in the position to actually be able to pull this off. Whereas a lot of guys walking around out here who aren't multimillionaire hip hop top 1% superstars, try to emulate this type thing, but they just end up going on long droughts where they are without women, because whenever they get one situation, it ends up blowing up in their face, because they're still trying to do this whole thing where they're trying to talk to multiple women and do this whole I got a team and I talk to multiple chicks at the same time and I smash multiple chicks at the same time thing. So I think that this necklace, if you will, is a manifestation of Drake's walking contradiction. He and he does it in his music. He's name dropped women in his music, talking about how, if you ain't Aisha Curry, you not marriage material. Like, he's done this throughout his music, throughout his career. He gives words. He lends words and dictation to this idea that if the right woman comes along, I'm ready, and I'm with it. But I think that he is a walking hypocrite in that regard. I don't think he actually wants that in his heart. I think he enjoys doing what he's doing, and more power to him. I'm not trying to take anything away from him. I just don't want anybody to be fooled if they believe that there's something genuine with respect to the notion that Drake is out here looking to legitimately propose. Like you said, I think this is a flex. It's a rich hip hop guy flex. I'm a superstar flex. And I think Drake does this type of stuff tactically, intentionally, because he knows I can make music videos disrespecting y'all and talking about how y'all will let me get away with anything. You'll still want me. Now I'm going to make jewelry, essentially symbolizing how I can do whatever I want and y'all will still want me. And he's right. He's not wrong, because there is, for every woman who is, at the graveyard of the Drake relationship, in the Drake relationship field, there's hundreds, if not thousands more women who will try to, buck the trend and be the exception. And none of them will ever be the exception, because Drake isn't actually about that life for real.
Well, I would say, and I hear what you're saying. You're getting at with that. But what I would say is that with Drake, now Kevin Samuels, he would say that Drake is not a high value person because he's an entertainer. He wouldn't fit into his definition of high value
because he didn't build it. Yeah.
Right. But however, all right, if you want to talk about somebody that has industry connections, that he does actually have business deals with high value people and stuff like that, Drake's not your typical rapper is what I'm getting at. And he's not your typical entertainer. And so he's at the top of the food chain. So when it comes to his options, like you said, especially within the hip hop field, if there's any women that subscribe to that, he's at the top of the ladder. Even if there's a woman right now and I asked her, I say, hey, are you a Drake fan? Nah, not really. If Drake went in her DM, she's losing her shit.
Oh, absolutely.
So even though Drake, I don't really do light skin. If he was in her DM, she's dropping everything. You know what I'm saying? Hey, I'm sorry, babe, and she off to Drake.
Yes.
And so with a guy with that kind of pull and that many options, it really doesn't make sense for him to get married if they're not going to sign the terms and conditions if he ever sets them. But of course he will set them because Drake is a machine. And so when it comes with Drake, he has an operation going on. Drake is more than a name, right? It's a corporation. It's a brand. And so there's people that are invested in Drake, Aubrey Graham, right? And so with these people that are invested in him, I'm pretty sure he's got a good enough amount of people that know stuff in his ear, and a think tank around him, and blah blah blah. I'm pretty sure at least one of these or two of these were actual legitimate things where he was like, and then he went to his counsel and his counsel said no. All right, don't do that. And the reason being is, again, he will get extracted. Resources will be taken. And so it's a two-pronged thing here. I do think, like you say, when we're just speaking about the friend, there is an innate and a genuine belief that they actually do want it, but programming has programmed people out of that to where their actual actions doesn't display the thing that they romanticize. So Drake, and this is what I also brought up about with, the Brittany Renners and the thought culture. Even though people live a whorish lifestyle, they still want a solid foundation, somebody to come home to, and family, because, well, I just think that that's human nature. And this thought culture is not. All right. So for Drake to be the person that he is, I think he does still long for and does want a wife, but the lifestyle he's built for himself and the amount of options that he has doesn't really allow it. So I can't judge the man's heart, but he talks about love enough. And to do something like this, his mind is enough in that ballpark of wanting a wife somehow, some way, subconsciously or consciously. He talks about it enough, as you say, that this is something that weighs on him. And being at that top, at that high of a level, the women that he encounters often are probably weaselly women, and they weasel their way into these parties. They weasel their way into this. If he actually takes some initiative and DM somebody, I'm pretty sure he's DMing a booty thought that's on Instagram, who's either shaking her ass or in a bikini on some beach getting flown out somewhere, So I'm sure that his taste buds have also been skewed due to his success. So even if he actually does get a woman close to him somehow, some way, there's something about her that's off that says that you're only here for this. So it's a wild circumstance being somebody like Drake, being as famous as he is and being as popular with the women as he is, for him to actually settle down with somebody that's genuinely there for who he is and not going to take half in about 4 or 5 years after they did their bid. So there's a lot of components that go in with this, but I just would say that, yeah, man, just rock on, Drake, and live a king's life, if you will, where, hey, man, you got the pick of the litter. You can do whatever you want and live as much as a king as you want and have your concubines, not like Nick Cannon, because Nick Cannon's going to have to pay that child support. All right. He got agreements now, but eventually he's going to have to come out of pocket. He's already coming out of pocket. So whenever Drake actually does want to have children on purpose, because I think that child that he does have out there or whatever, that wasn't, he ain't wanted to go down like that. But yeah, just live a life like that. I think that's the closest a man like him, with as much he has going on in today's modern society, for sure, has a chance of actually having some semblance of having a wife. And that's by having wives like he had in that music video. So, yeah.
Yeah, I don't totally disagree with all of that. I just think that at the end of the day, if you truly wanted something, you just go and get it. What do they say about men nowadays? Real men out there aggressively attack a goal in mind and they acquire it. There's more than one way to skin a cat. You can be a hip hop superstar without perpetrating any of this if what you truly want is the opposite of that. Meaning that if Drake actually wanted to do that kind of stuff for real, I don't think the number would have gotten to who almost proposes 42 different times.
That's what I'm saying. It's crazy.
That's an absurdly high number. That doesn't make any sense. So that kind of tells me that a lot of this is just superficial, tactical marketing type stuff, where Drake is doing what he's done for the majority of his career, which is point out some of the more toxic aspects of the nature of women, while also being able to benefit from women's toxicity, because women in this space will give it up to a man of Drake's stature, despite how much disrespect they may incur. So Drake is living proof of this, and he lives in this type of environment. He's sort of fully enthralled in that dynamic, but he's intelligent enough, he's smart enough that he can play upon the dynamic in such a way to make himself look like he's aware of what's going on and how he's above board, and that if the right woman truly came around, he'd be willing to let it all go because he truly wants to be a relationship type guy. I'm a bit skeptical in that regard. I do think that there is now to sort of, give credence to what you said. Perhaps intrinsically at one point he was about that, but I think if he was about that, that is so far gone. To quote
No
one
pun
of his
intended.
album titles, yeah, actual pun intended. But
Okay.
yeah, I think that if he was about that, that part of him is so far gone.
Mhm.
He's been Drizzy Drake, famous non-disclosure agreement, smashing all the chicks in the world for long enough that at this point, if he is verbalizing wanting to do this relationship stuff, it's something that is probably in the recesses of his mind, but is not necessarily a realistic proposition. And who knows, perhaps when he's done with the music game and he's moved on to other things, and being a single bachelor isn't something that's necessarily beneficial to the image that he's curated for himself, that he will be willing, that all of a sudden it'll kind of change and he'll just start becoming this serial monogamous dater. But I think only time will tell. But I think for now, this to me amounts to tactics. And he's done it throughout his music, throughout all of his music. Even on his first album, he was doing it. Like, he talks about how y'all will give it up to me, even though I'm calling you out every chance I get. And he does it into perpetuity, and he's affirmed every time he does it because he still gets whatever woman he wants, despite the fact that he says all of this crazy stuff in his music. He's doing it now in that trash album that he put out with 21 Savage
Yeah.
about a month or two ago. He's doing it in that album. Now, some of the stuff that he be saying is true when he talks about, if I'm busy, don't call me. Find another rapper to line up your bank account because I ain't got no time for you. But at the same time, he will acquiesce to it if the time is right for him.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
there's a big duality component with a lot of this. But I think at the end of the day, I think Drake romanticizes about the notion of it because perhaps he came up with those types of qualities ingrained in him, maybe from his parents or his guardian figures or whatever. But I think at this point, he's so fully enthralled in his hip hop stuff that he knowingly does this stuff on purpose because he's just out here slaying. And it is what it is, because it's like, I don't have no issue with it because I think every time he does this, he's right. So he's proven correctly. He can make songs, videos, necklaces, whatever Drake does. He's proven correct whenever he employs these various mechanisms. But I do believe that there's a bit of a romanticization on his part because he might say it, but in practice, I don't really think he's with it. But maybe he will be in the future. Who knows?
Yeah. Fame is a new phenomenon in human history. Has there been people that have transcended human history that we still know their names, even though they was going on in the 5th century? Absolutely. But it wasn't a cesspool of famous people. This fame thing is very,
Yeah.
it's a new phenomenon that this amount of people have become air quote famous over the last century, I would say. And so Drake, in a genre of music that's relatively new to human history, all right, he's one of the biggest icons to ever exist within the sphere. And so when you're dealing with these phenomenons and you also try to pair it up with a more traditional mindset, because I'm sure the young man growing up, although he wanted to be famous, I'm pretty sure he wanted a wife and family and stuff too. And so growing up and becoming an adult, and you have access to all these drugs known as women, and he can have these women at his disposal, there is a contradiction of traditional versus, the luxuries that I have as being a celebrity at this point. So yeah, man, it's a conundrum. And honestly, I don't know how people like this are supposed to move. Because like I said, if he decides to get married, the girl's only going to do, after she done took her trips, after they done did all this other stuff, she done got her car, she done got pregnant, maybe once, maybe twice, make it look good, and then cash out so she'd never have to work for the rest of her days, even though she didn't have to work for the rest of her days with Drake. But Drake isn't a billionaire. Drake isn't XYZ. Drake isn't whatever. And if she's at the physical status to where Drake wants to wife her up, then I'm pretty sure she could get somebody who, I'll hop on the next one, or just cash out and live independent woman and take your trips with your homegirls. Who knows what these women are up to? The whole thing is that the divorce would do him dirty. And I'm pretty sure he's smart enough to get a prenup and all that other stuff, but there's still a way that she's going to come out better than she was before they got together. So I think he doesn't want to be taken advantage of. I think 42 is an egregious number. 40. I don't care how many women you smash. Like 42 is a wild number if you genuinely consider being married.
Yeah.
Right. So that's still a wild number, but I would still say that there were, out of the 42, let's say that it is real. I still think that there's at least 2 or 3 that he really considered pulling a trigger on for sure. But I said, I think cooler heads prevailed, and I think it was just best for him not to do it for his franchise. And so, being the man that he is, being famous in this modern era, it's a wild dynamic, man, and you have to protect yourself and your assets because all of the stuff that you work for could be taken in half or a quarter of it, and that's maybe not a risk he's willing to take right now. So, wild times, man, wild times.
Yeah, it is. I just, if Drake was really about that life, you can make it happen. There's examples of men of his stature who have been able to do it successfully. I just think that when you're in that particular type of environment, meaning the hip hop space, you either don't know how to go about vetting the right types of women, or you just don't want to because you're just too busy doing hip hop. It's one of the two. And Drake is caught up in one of those two things, in my opinion, because there's just too many other examples of, whether we're talking about movie people, pro athletes, other entertainers who are actually about that, they manage to somehow make it happen. So where is the distinction between those folks and people like Drake? I think it's a personal choice that individuals like Drake makes to not prioritize that. Not saying that he should, because if I'm being honest, if I was him, I might be doing the same thing that he's doing. I don't know that I'd be making songs saying that I want to be married if I really don't want to be, but that's also a part of Drake's brand as an emo rapper, is to kind of do that kind of stuff too. So it's all strategy, but I've seen a lot of examples where, as a man, if this is something that you really want to do, yes, there's always going to be some risk because you are Drake and you are who you are and you have amassed what you've amassed. But guys have been able to pull it off. Derek Jeter pulled it off. Curry might be a bad example because they've been married since before Curry was Curry. But there's other examples that you can look at throughout some of those landscapes of men who are able to pull it off. The point that I'm trying to make is that it's not impossible enough for me to conceive that if this was something that Drake actually wanted, he could figure it out. He seems like a smart enough guy. I just think that there's a duality inherent in this, and he doesn't actually want to figure it out because he's doing hip hop. And in the midst of doing hip hop, he's going to lean into it by making chains and trolling women because he knows that he can get away with it. Into perpetuity, he has ultimate immunity because these women are always going to line up to be with him no matter what he does.
That's fair. I got you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. So that was a fun topic, man. Good luck to Drake. Not the biggest fan, like I said, of Drake's music, but I do like his troll efforts. I do find them funny and entertaining. So kudos to Drake and his previous engagements, chain or necklace or whatever. Good luck to whoever chooses to purchase that thing, because I'm pretty sure it's a grip.
Yeah, it's a grip. It got the evil claw.
Yeah, that thing took 6 months to make. It better be a grip. All right, so we'll go ahead and end on that note, man. And next up, we are going to talk about another popular person in the entertainment space, Lori Harvey. Miss High in Demand Lori Harvey. Miss I Am Dating on My Terms. Lori Harvey. So we've talked about Lori Harvey on this channel before. Lori Harvey, in the aftermath of her breakup with Michael B. Jordan, which crushed the hearts of young black celebrity followers everywhere, who were just so distraught because that was the one time that we got to see a young, all black, good looking couple
Our
in the
couple.
entertainment world, be together. And this was the one chance for this to happen. And it didn't happen because she dumped him. But be that as it may, in the aftermath of that, she talked about how she wants to date on her own terms. And so we found this quite interesting because this speaks to her penchant for dating on her own terms. So gonna go ahead and talk real quick about this article first. This is an article from Yahoo, which gets into Lori Harvey's non-disclosure agreement. So this is from Yahoo News. This is a story from December 8th. It says Lori Harvey makes men sign NDAs with $1 million penalties before dating. Lori Harvey is one of the most desirable women in the game, and she's always seen with some fly gentlemen. She has also succeeded in keeping her romantic relationships under wraps until she publicly boasts about them. According to rumors, she attributes her success to a set of guidelines she has for any potential love interest. Close associates say that the social media celebrity requires all possible dates to sign a legally binding non-disclosure agreement before she gives them any serious consideration. Quote, Lori makes all the men sign an NDA, end quote, to ensure the privacy of their conversations, one of the friends has told Media Takeout. The confidant revealed that the agreement forbids the suitor to show the friend's photos or read the friend's messages to anyone. The parties are also barred from capturing any screens of their discussions or communications, including video chats. If the men choose to defy the agreement, they will face some pretty serious ramifications. The insider also said that the airtight agreement contained $1 million penalty for any breach and was drawn up by the same leading Los Angeles law firm responsible for Drake's, we just talked about Drake, notorious non-disclosure agreements. Anyone who wants to date Lori has to sign it, the friend said. Not a single man is exempt, and any of Harvey's male celebrity fans who signed the agreement have chosen to remain nameless. So you get the gist of it. Lori Harvey makes all of her relationship prospects sign a non-disclosure agreement, the breach of which comes with a $1 million penalty. So all you guys out there who are trying to get at Lori Harvey, understand that if you violate the terms of service, you will be forced to pay by law a $1 million penalty or suffer perhaps stiffer consequences if you choose to renege on that. So yeah, like I said, man, we talked about Lori Harvey before. She has talked about how she dates on her own terms. I have described Lori Harvey as a part of this new wave of women in the modern westernized cultures who dates within a masculine context. I find Lori Harvey to be a masculine dater. I don't think that she is any different from people like Brittany Renner or Amber Rose, in my opinion. But yeah, so there you have it. Lori Harvey, $1 million NDA for anyone who wants to date her. Do you have any thoughts on Lori Harvey's non-disclosure agreement or the news breaking about her NDA?
I agree with it. I would say that, especially since she is a celebrity and air quote famous. So similar to the last discussion, where this is a new day and age where people like to expose people for their own personal clout. So everybody that she dates may not be a Hollywood star. All right, may not be Hollywood plugged in or any other type of industry. She might date a regular high value guy at any point. Nobody could try to out the situation for their own publicity and their own play so they can get a career off of her juice. Mm-hmm. So I find it actually quite useful. I feel like all celebrities should do this. $1 million, that is a stiff penalty, but might as well get paid if somebody decides to leak photos of you or chats that you had between one party and the next, and they call themselves trying to out you. Well, how did this get out? Because I ain't leak it. So I'm gonna need $1 million plus emotional damages and all this other stuff, and she might get a little bit more than $1 million. So I'm for it. I feel like all celebrities should do it, even though she is, like you said, an aggressive dater. Most women in the West are. And if you are indeed a celebrity, you indeed do have options. So for her to try to weigh all of those options and maximize on it and get the top 0.0 whatever percent of men, she has a lane to play that and to get that. So she's actually in a position that a basic female wish she was in. So yeah, so for her to pull this card, I don't have any bones with it. So how about you, bro? How do you feel about this situation?
Yeah, I'm Team Lori. And for the record, I never took issue with Lori Harvey or anyone who wants to do things how they want to do it. Sleep with all the men you want, be with all the men you want, dictate your terms as best you can. The only thing that I thumb my nose up is when you speak in code about it. That's the only contention that I've had with Lori Harvey.
They're gonna do that.
I know. It's just me and the way that I process stuff. When I spot somebody speaking in code, I'm just gonna point it out. That's but otherwise, I don't. Yeah, she should have an NDA because she will be at risk if she doesn't protect herself at all costs. So I completely am with her. And what better way to deter people from violating your what better way to deter people from violating your terms than by instilling a harsh enough penalty so as to let people know, if you do this, this is the price to be paid. I don't care how rich somebody is. No one wants to pay out $1 million because they decided to be a holla dog hitting. But no one wants to pay $1 million because they decided that because they a hit dog, they gonna holler and expose a woman for whatever they had going on with their relationship. So the $1 million penalty to me is fair. Hell, make it 5 million for all I care. Whatever you got to do to make it so that you can protect yourself at all costs. Like, so Brittany Renners of the world, Amber Rose, Lori Harvey, women like this, women in these spaces. You can, a lot of them are a dime a dozen these days. I'm trying to think of other examples of chicks like this. I've commented that they date in a very masculine way, meaning the way that we've always perceived masculinity in dating to be is to plant seeds and explore options. Men have always been expected to do these things throughout westernized culture. And so now women are starting to catch up and women are doing the same thing. And I think in our, within the liberal context of our current society, women are being celebrated and embraced for doing this. Now, to be reasonable, I do think that if men can explore options, women should be able to explore it too. I'm not going to be a hypocrite in that regard. So if men can be out here doing whatever they do, then women can be out here doing whatever they do too. And if there's anyone on either side who does not like that, then they need to go back to their own side and say, maybe we need to dial some of this back a little bit because it's causing problems in other areas. But as presently constructed, all things being equal, guys are out here doing this too. As much as I may hate it, personally, as a man, I don't like it, but this is the world that we live in now. And women are serial masculine daters now, and they explore every option that they can until they get what they want. And so I bring that up because you best believe that if there are women who are dating in a masculine way, then there are also men who date in a feminine way. The door swings both ways. So, some of these low-hanging fruits that we've always attributed to the way that women approach men, such as being gossipy, always getting on the phone, talking to their friends about their business, airing out dirty laundry on social media or in public, or being quick to get on a microphone and exposing a dude for his weak sex game, or for how big he is, how big his package is, or how much money he got or lack thereof, or how cheap he is. We always attribute these types of behaviors to women when it comes to relationships. And so we've always said that's what females do. That's what women do. That's what it means to be feminine, is to always want to yap, 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 talk, talk, talk. Well, men do that too. Men do that now. You got a lot of these feminine, imbalanced, weak, emotionally weak men out here, beta males, as some would call them, who don't know how to control their emotions, who don't know how to be men about their business. And whenever a situation with a woman doesn't work out in their favor, they're going to do what the feminine thing is to do, which is expose them on the internet, talk about it publicly, make videos about them, put photos of them out for mass consumption. They're going to do things to damage those women because they're hit dogs and they want to holler, much in the way that women historically have always done. So, a lot of this is being brought to bear that it's just becoming more and more equitable. And so if a woman in Lori Harvey's position has to deal with beta males in the entrepreneur, business, entertainment space, because she has to actually date these guys, then she does owe it to herself to protect herself from being exposed by these betas who will do the feminine thing, which is get on their phone and get on their socials, get on their Instagrams and their TikToks or whatever these dudes do nowadays, and expose these chicks, whether it's through photos, chat conversations, text messages, whatever the case may be. These guys are doing very feminine things nowadays in this Western culture that we're in. So if guys are doing things in a feminine way, women are doing things in a masculine way, we have a no holds barred, free for all match going on where we're just, throwing shit at the other side and seeing how much damage that we can do. Lori Harvey should protect herself against that. So I don't blame her in the slightest. It is what it is. Maybe if there were less beta males out here doing feminine things, there would be less of a need for women to protect themselves with NDAs. But then I can also say that if there were less women out here who were looking to be resource extractors from men, men would feel less of a need to sign NDAs. So there's toxicity on either side, and everyone owes it to themselves to protect themselves from it as best they can. And, Lori Harvey's no exception.
Well, especially if you're, high end, well-known name, such as Lori Harvey or Drake or any other, these other people that make people sign things. And there's also another angle here as well. Maybe she do want to slide how she want to slide, and maybe the body counts is going up a little bit, and so she don't need people coming out the woodworks and saying, "Yeah, I hit that. Yeah, I hit that too. Yeah, hey, but Ben Simmons, right? Tory Lanez, right? All these names. It's like, what the hell's going on here?" And so if there's a situation going on like that, and people are sharing, nah, bro, I hit. I'm telling you, I linked with her last month. And then now they want to show text messages of, hey, come through. And she came through. So she don't need that either. So much like how the article says, it's going to remain a secret unless she wants to come out and brag about it. Hey, I'm dating your boy from whatever movie. Oh, watch. I didn't think I was going to get him. You know what I'm saying? The Dusties and the normies that probably got slaughtered in the midst of that. We'll never hear of those names because they signed some NDAs. So that might be also another angle of a masculine form of dating, right? So, but again, man, we're in this age now where, modern women, and especially if they bought into the philosophies, they're going to drop their nuts. You know what I'm saying on people. And so she's going to want to slay what she wants to get slain. And she's like, yo, I'm, look at me. And how many people is going to turn that down? No. Mm-hmm. Why? Because you came at me too masculine, or dudes ain't going to have no excuse not to, try not to slaughter that.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, it is what it is. This is where we're at in modern society, man. But celebrities do have to protect themselves. There's too much stuff going on out there. There's too much business and gossiping. All right. So you can sell something to TMZ if it's spicy enough. All right. I don't know what you get for that, but people still are willing to do it. So I wouldn't put anything past anybody that, you know, comes into my bedroom if I'm on that kind of status. So yeah, have at it, Miss Harvey. But I'll be damned if I meet any woman that's trying to make me sign some you know, NDA because they seen Lori Harvey. What's this? Oh, well, Lori Harvey does it, and I think it was a good idea. So you need to sign here, or I'll sue you for like 50,000. I was like, girl, I wish somebody would. Now, Miss Harvey, you can DM me at Dogon_SS, and I ain't telling nobody nothing. All right, but anybody else, yeah, kick rock, get on out of here. So yeah, what it is with that, man.
Yeah, I think that it's two-pronged. I think that it's her wanting to have her fun and do the serial dater, you know, thing, and then it's also protection from the trolls and the toxic inhabitants of the space that she occupies.
Yeah,
I think it's both of those things at the same time. And yeah, she owes it to herself to protect herself from either one of those things getting the better of her, because she doesn't need that. She's been able to cultivate a brand for herself, you know, I guess through the muscle of, you know, her family and all of that kind of stuff. Because I still don't know what she does. I guess she models stuff or whatever. I still don't know what she does,
hey,
but I know who she
daughter.
is. Yeah, I know who she is, and so that's a testament to what they've been able to manufacture over there. And yeah, you don't need some weak beta male troll coming to compromise any of that because he wants to be a hit dog and holler about stuff. And you know, people can't be trusted. I can only imagine what it's like being in that environment. You might have a guy who represents himself well, but these dudes are so weak nowadays. If he feels slighted by Lori Harvey in any kind of way, despite how he presented himself, he'll be the first one airing out all kinds of dirty laundry and trolling her and making her look bad in the public sphere. And she don't need that. So yeah, she might want to think about upping that penalty from 1 million to 5 million. Like I said, whatever you got to do to protect yourself. But as much as I like to kind of call women like Lori Harvey out on various BS things that they might say, at the end of the day, I feel like I'm a reasonable, fair-minded individual. And you know, I do think that she owes it to herself to protect herself, and so I'm Team Lori on that. I don't fault that. I don't know if something like an NDA ever matriculates into the general population, where I might be out and I might go to the grocery store and meet some chick, and we hit it off, and she wants me to sign an NDA. That's the day that I'm just gonna give up. That's the day that I'm just gonna give up.
What are we not disclosing? Who the hell are you?
Yeah, like I have not run into anything like that. Anybody who sees this video, any guy, well, any women, anybody, if y'all have run into anything like this, let us know in the comments, because I'm very curious. Is this something that y'all are running into in just like regular people world, not millionaire top 1, top 10% world, but regular world? You meeting people out there, and anybody ever had to deal with somebody who wanted them to sign some kind of document? Because that's wild business.
Yeah, because honestly, like, what does that lead to? You know what I'm saying? One day I'm gonna wake up drugged and handcuffed to the bedpost. And it's like, yeah, you can't tell nothing because I done told that. I decided to it's so crazy, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if it's filtered that far down, but it's interesting that you bring that up. If it has filtered that far down, then boy, oh boy,
yeah, get out, sir.
We are definitely on our way to living in that Book of Eli world. If it's gone that far down the rabbit hole.
Goodness.
Yeah. But yeah, shouts out to Lori Harvey, man. Good luck on your NDA. I know you out there slaying them just like Drake is. So
hit that sub.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, so keep doing your thing, Lori. We appreciate the content. Okay, so lastly, we are going to talk about content that we received from Black Women Divest Now. It's a platform big on TikTok offering modern dating advice to modern Black women. So in this particular clip, first of all, Race to 1K. If you like the commentary on the Conscious Approach channel, hit that subscribe button, like the video, let us know what you think about the commentary in the comment section, because we always paying attention to the comments. But subscribe to that, subscribe to the channel, so that you can always know when we publish a new content to the channel, because we appreciate you supporting logical content. But yeah, Black Women Divest Now, big on TikTok, and they recently put some content out talking about why it is the biggest challenge that Black women face in terms of being a wife or finding marriage, finding whatever, a partner, whatever, however you want to say it. And according to this particular video, Black women's greatest challenge with becoming a wife lies in the fact that there just simply aren't enough eligible Black men out there. So that'll be the preview that I'll provide. But we're going to go ahead and share this, and then we're going to talk about this. Needless to say, we found this to be quite interesting. So we'll go ahead and play this.
What do you think the challenge is that women are?
Sorry about that. We'll go ahead and play it from the beginning so it's nice and clean. So we'll go ahead and play this. You can see there the caption says there's not enough eligible Black males who fit the needs of Black women. So as you can imagine, we would have a lot to say about this. So we'll go ahead and play this, and then we'll talk about it afterwards.
What do you think the challenge is that women are having, Black women in particular, when it comes to becoming a wife?
Keeping it 100,
yes.
There's not enough eligible Black males who fit the needs of Black women. By the time you dissect the demographics of finances, sexual orientation, what you end up drilling down into, because Black women tend to want to marry Black men.
Right.
So Black women are excelling. They're getting accelerated degrees, graduate degrees, doctorate degrees. They're starting businesses. Black women are running circles around men.
Right.
And it's also shown in research that women want to marry on their same level of financial and educational status.
Yeah.
So if you're a Black woman making $150,000 a year with a master's degree, you tend to want to marry a Black man on that same level or higher. If Black women are excelling at such an accelerated
individuals, the Black manosphere.
What do you think the challenge is?
You tend to want to marry a Black man on that same level or higher. If Black women are excelling at such an accelerated rate, how do men keep up with that?
What do you think the challenge is that
a new study released?
Okay.
And interesting.
Yeah.
There's a lot in there.
Yeah, there is a lot there. So she attributed to Black women just outpacing Black men in terms of achievement, and that being the reason why. I think that's the root of what she was suggesting.
That's what she was getting at.
Yeah. So I know we respectively probably have lots to say on this. But what were your initial thoughts?
This is definitely a where do I begin kind of thing. So I'll start here. All right. So on the outset, I don't disagree with what she's saying. And with respect to finances, sexual orientation, and just availability. And so when it comes to, let me start with availability. So with availability, with the construct that Black males have fallen into with gang culture, prison industrial complex, hip hop videos promoting this lifestyle, hip hop culture in general promoting that lifestyle, there's a lot of guys that end up in prison or in the jail system or somewhere in there, to where, advancing their lives and doing all of these other things, the traditional way, it impedes that if they were even to get out, or if, especially if they're locked up, right? So availability, so that kind of ties into finances, but sexual orientation, there's a lot of Black dudes out there that are out there just doing their thing, and they just, a part of that community. And There's a lot of them. And when attending an HBCU myself and being on campus, there was a lot of those guys in my class. And so it was to the point to where, me and, a couple of buddies of ours, pointed out the obvious that there's really no competition on campus. It was the frat guys, who some of those guys was in that community, but there was the frat guys, and that's it. Everybody else was either, regular straight black male, which was not a lot. It was a lot of gay guys there on campus. So when that's a situation, black women aren't having options when it comes to the higher educated ones. At least I can speak to that from seeing things on campus. Now, that's not all campuses, but I witnessed it first person. And then when it comes to finances and things of that nature, there's a whole bunch of rigmarole that can go into that. But due to lack of education, due to lack of certain things that, the average black male doesn't have those types of accolades and stuff like that to actually be in the workforce and making that kind of money and all that other jive. So there's components in there that's glaringly obvious to anybody that wants to just look at it and see, okay, well, these factors are getting in the way of black women finding a good available man. The thing that I have an issue with is, even though there's a lot of people in bucket A, bucket B, and bucket C, there's still a lot of males that aren't in that aren't in those buckets. They are available, and those guys get looked over for, I would argue, hypergamous reasons, and also masculinity issues, struggling with their own personal femininity. There's other angles that I would take on this, but these are my initial thoughts. How about you, sir? How did this make you feel?
Yeah. On the surface, I don't disagree with what she said. Very, you said the same thing pretty much when you started.
Mm-hmm.
On the surface, if we are not contextualizing the conversation, if we're not getting into nuance and we're just looking at it on the surface, I don't disagree with what she is saying. Mm-hmm. We talked about, so a couple videos ago, we talked about how much is the institution of things like child support compromising relationships. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I brought up was, if you look at any modern statistic in terms of higher educations and in terms of higher salaries, women, and this isn't just with black people, this is just across the board. Mm-hmm. Women are outpacing men in all of those areas. Mm-hmm. Women are outpacing men in terms of, educational attainment, opportunity, and salary. Mm-hmm. So obviously, if women in general are outpacing men in those areas, then it stands to reason that within population, black women are also outpacing men in those areas as well. Mm-hmm. And so I think it is natural for any person, any woman who is at a certain level socioeconomically to want to at least date across or up, but definitely not date down. And so when she mentioned black women wanting to date up or date across, like I said, on the surface, I don't disagree with her. Those are things that I don't disagree with. I have always stated that, practically speaking, hypergamy makes sense. I don't think it makes sense for any woman, much less a black woman, to get with a guy who is on the struggle bus. Don't get with a struggle rapper. If you are a 9-to-5 chick, don't get with a guy who works at Walmart for part-time. If you have a BA and you are a teacher, or you are an administrator, or you work at a state job, or if you work in local government, don't get with a guy who's a full-time server or cook at a restaurant. That doesn't make sense. So I agree with a lot of that stuff. I agree with women who say, if I'm going to date a man, there is a baseline set of preferences that I would like for that guy to be able to uphold. Things such as having your own home or your own place that you live in, not living with parents or roommates, not having your own vehicle, paying your own bills. These are things that intrinsically lend themselves to a guy being able to be a provider. And that to me is a reasonable form of hypergamy that I've never had nothing against. So on the surface, when she talks about women wanting to date across or up, I don't even think she said across. I think she blatantly said women want to date up.
She said,
but
she
even
across.
okay, fine, okay, cool. Then even then, I don't disagree with that. Now, I think it's important to contextualize it. However, the women in that clip were speaking from a top 10% perspective.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the thing that you have to keep in mind.
Mm-hmm.
These, like, those women are doing their thing. They got businesses or whatever they're doing. They're making their money. They're speaking from a top 10% perspective. So if you're a black woman who is in the top 10%, it's no wonder you find yourself not being able to find eligible black men, because number one, only 10% of the population makes over $100,000. If you split that between sexes and then further split it between races, you're going to find a very, very small pool of men to choose from if you're trying to stick with black men exclusively. That's not an indictment on black men. That's just statistics. So if you want to go on those grounds, I can't fault you necessarily. But to disseminate that message broadly, in so much as to suggest that just on a whole, black men everywhere are just ineligible, speaks to my indication that there's hypergamy taking place. So like if you are a middle income earner woman, if you are an administrative assistant in an office job, or if you're a temp, or if you got a bachelor's degree and you're a teacher, or you are, whatever you do, if you work in revenue services, or if you work one of these jobs like this, Department of Children and Families, whatever the case may be, and you're earning $30,000 to $40,000 a year, $30,000 to $45,000 a year, you cannot turn around and look at a black man who is in the same boat as you, working, earning a salary, making 45, 50K a year, and look upon that as ineligible. That's where we have to draw the line, because that to me is unreasonable. And I get the sense that women like this are disseminating that kind of message upon the masses, suggesting that middle income earning is somehow inherently inadequate. But what about all the women who are middle income earners? Like, and I'm making this about income because I feel as though they were making it about income.
Right.
Like, yeah, she brought up sexual orientation and education and all that kind of stuff. But I feel like she was using those things to buffer what she was really getting, which is the money, the income.
Right.
That's really what she was getting at.
Agreed.
And so if it's about the income, you can speak from the prism of top 10% because that's the lane that you operate in. Right. And if that's the case, I'm willing to give you the benefit of the doubt. But what about the other 90% of the population that doesn't live in that space? Yeah, women all over the place who work part-time, who don't have degrees, who maybe they have degrees, and they work full-time jobs doing what they do, and they earn paychecks and they earn a living. They might have things going on the side, but trust and believe their gross annual income is under 50K a year.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. So those women, which is the vast majority of the population, are now looking and saying, if you make under 100K a year as a man, you must be therefore ineligible.
Absolutely.
That to me doesn't make any sense. Mm-hmm. And so we have to contextualize this conversation. What socioeconomic bracket are we looking at? And how does that apply to your individual situation? That's the key. Like you said, there's a lot of guys who don't fit any of those stereotypical buckets for black men, and they're getting overlooked because a lot of women who are in the same boat as them are believing that there's a certain barrier to entry based upon income. They don't care about education, because if a guy makes over 100K a year and he has a GED, they'll date him before they date the guy who has a PhD who makes 65K a year.
Absolutely.
And I'm telling the truth. So education has nothing to do with it. I know she said it to try and make herself sound reasonable, but that doesn't walk, and I'm calling BS on that.
Agreed.
So this is all about income and what bracket we fall into. Absolutely. And you have to contextualize the conversation and what's potentially problematic about this kind of stuff is you got a lot of chicks out here who are they work in department stores, they work at Amazon, they work at FedEx shipping.
Come on now.
You know, like I said, they're a temp. You know, man who makes 45, 50K a year, that's for you, that's dating across and up. And that's not settling. That's not saying he's an underachiever. Those men shouldn't be perceived as ineligible to you. So you just have to take messages like this with a grain of salt. So again, like, you know, on the surface, I'm not completely dismissing what they are saying, but you have to provide the nuance. You have to contextualize it. And it's a bit more complicated than just flatly saying black men aren't catching up and there aren't enough eligible black men. I don't know that I can go for all that.
No, well said, bro, because you hit on a lot of points that I was going to bring up, especially the aspect of, you know, if they're making, let's say 45K and they're dealing with a guy from the job, so he's making 45K too, she's still not satisfied. Right. Now, why is she not satisfied? Because she hears rhetoric like this all the time. So anytime she gets on her phone and goes into the woman's sphere and whatever they start preaching over there, the take home is always, I need the 6 figures. I need the blah, 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 blah. And so they'll deal with 45K, man, but they'll feel like they're just settling. And they feel like they personally deserve, just because they have a vagina, that they personally deserve somebody that's in that top tier. Whether they're qualified or not, they don't go that far with their logic. So since they don't go that far, they'll still date whoever in their field, wherever they're at. You know, oh, these guys ain't squat. Well, look in the mirror. So they're gonna date these guys wherever they're at. But in the back of their mind, subconsciously, they're always holding out for 6-figure and up, man. And so they're gonna keep that mentality going. So that's even with the lower tier women. So even when you get up here to the higher bracket, right? Oh, you got your master's, good for you, and you're making 150K a year, right? It's stupendous. The reason why they claim that they want equal, which I don't even think they want equal to that, right? Because once they're up there in that zone, they have the same mindset of 45K girl. And even though they know that this guy here is making, 150 himself, there's still a level of, but there's guys who make 270.
Yeah, right.
So this guy isn't cutting it either, especially when they start going on these parties and these boats and these things here and these things there. Oh, hey girl. And they with their friends and then her friend's husband got the yacht they're all on. Y'all not going to get a yacht, with 150K a piece income. I mean, I'm pretty sure your house is already lavish. You're not going to be able to afford a yacht and all this extra stuff too. I need yacht money. She's gonna scream.
Yeah.
So with this mentality, period, is problematic. So whether it's high class, like these ladies claim that they are, even though they didn't say that, but they talking like they is, right? Or the lower tier women, they all have the same mentality of I can upgrade from wherever I'm at right now. And so even if there was a man qualified, 150K, boom, knocking it out, masters, all of that good stuff, that guy still will get treated the same way as 45K man will get treated. They just got better cars doing it. And the issue here overall is, I would argue, because the women are going to do this at this point, the modern women, all right? So let's not say all women, right? But modern women, for sure. The issue with this is coming from the perspective, the men's perspective of this whole scenario. And as soon as men can really wrap their heads around the modern woman philosophy. So figuring out a woman has always been a conundrum for men. It's like, what's going on there? But with the advent of social media and networks and people can share information, everybody realized that they've been living the same dating story. And so with the same dating story, there's bullet points to modern woman thinking. because that's an inception, because women didn't always think like this. So the inception has been calculated. It's been triangulated. And they all speak the same language. These women are no different. So even if they're high value women and whatever they want to call themselves, they still talking modern woman. So this can be triangulated. And the thing that they're speaking about in here is a form of domination and financial domination. Women want to be financially dominated, physically dominated, intellectually dominated. They want a man that's smarter than them. They want a man that makes more money. They want a man that's taller, stronger than them. And if there's somebody that's dominant, then who's the subservient one? Right? Who's the submissive one, right? So this is the whole put me in my place situation on roids, right? They, as masculine as these modern women are, they and as repulsed by the word submissive as they are verbally, innately they want to get dominated.
Yes.
Period.
Yeah.
So if there's 270K man and he's all of 5'1" and she's 5'6", she's not dealing with bro. Why? Well, because I can't look up to him. You know, I like to feel small when I'm around my guys. That's what she's gonna rebuttal. It was a girl. I'm in her on her live on Instagram, and she's cool. You know what I'm saying? People was asking her questions, and they was asking the height question. Hey, you know, if the guy was 6, you know, guy was 6, she's like 5'10". So she was like, if there's a guy that was 6'2" making 45K or 50K, and then there was a guy that was 5'2", all right, but he made, you know, 50K, not 50, 500, you know, which one would you deal with? She had to think about that. So women aren't just about money. Women want to be dominated, period. So, bro, if you 5'7" out there, find you a woman that's 5'5".
Mm-hmm.
Find you a woman that's 5'2". This is the game right now. All right. Hey, bro, you're making 45K. Bro, find you somebody that's making 27. I don't even know if people make 27 no more. Bro, find it. Yeah. Bro, damn, bro, that's
adjusted for inflation.
Bro, you know what I'm saying? You doing your thing at 80K, bro. You crushing it. Find a woman at 50.
Yeah.
You have to financially dominate. You have to physically dominate. So getting in the gym. Like, these are the things that women want, but they speak in code. And they're gonna code speak and use all these things that there's not enough available men, that they're not educated, and all the stuff that you dissected the code. And you said the nuts and bolts of this is basically, you know, the financial department. Absolutely. That's what this conversation is about. You know, we didn't mention height in here, because if we throw height in your statistics, that number is going to go even smaller.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So the thing is, as men, what we have to realize is that hearing them speak like this from here on out is just like, what domination did she just ask for? And in that component, once you hear, if she's talking finances, she wants a guy that makes more money. So if you're sitting across from a woman and y'all make the same kind of money, in the back, and she's a modern woman, in the back of her mind, she thinks like this woman. So in the back of her mind, she's always looking at that car that's cleaner than yours, bro. She's always looking at the supervisor that pulls in more money than you, bro. And this is a sad reality of modern women. So I felt like, yeah, on that first aspect, I agree. You know, there's not enough black males out here that's not filling up the prisons, that's not having their orientations, you know, in another direction, right? And not enough dudes out there that's pulling in some solid income. So that I agreed with. But like I said, there's a good enough men that don't fit that, because if there's a small percentage of black males that fit that, and there's a small percentage of black women that fit what she's talking about. So y'all, that small percentage, y'all better figure that out. But she's talking about domination, and so she wants to be physically, financially dominated, and that's why they say that lateral stuff. That's why you said, I don't even know if she said lateral. Yeah, because modern women, they say that because it sounds good. Oh yeah, I dated guys that were ugly. Oh, I dated guys that I wasn't attracted to. Oh, you dated past tense them guys. They're not around anymore. Why not? And I dated a guy that was broke. Dated past tense. Where is he now? You're looking for somebody who looks better and who has more money.
Yeah.
So let's call a spade right now. But they're not going to call a spade a spade. They're going to call a spade a club. So now that we know that they're calling the spades clubs, it's just club. Hey, it's a spade, bro.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
So get in your lane, fellas. And get to dominating, because that's what they want. And honestly, once you're in that bucket, then you can be like our boy Drake earlier, and now you're batting them away. Instead of saying where are the good women at, they're gonna come a flocking because you're doing so much dominating. So yeah, the interesting conversation here, but again, more code speak.
Yeah, I don't even think that they only want to be I don't think they have one particular preference of domination. I think they want to be dominated in every respect.
Absolutely.
I think it's we, and yeah. So the chick, was that last week or 2 weeks ago, who talked about how the man wasn't a leader.
Right.
Another code word.
Right.
So for her, she was using the word leader to suggest that he was unable to financially, physically, and sexually impose his will on her.
Right.
And you can't have just one or two. You need all three. That's the thing. It takes all three. And I'll 100% agree that as much as they might verbalize this notion of neutrality or equitable, they don't want it. They don't buy. They don't actually want that. No. It's why modern feminism is a complete and utter fallacy,
right?
Because they just want the things that they want, but the things that innately they desire when it comes to their relationship, they want that stuff to stay the same, and they've never wanted that. They've never wanted any of that to change. But yeah, like shouts out to the Fresh and Fit podcast. Myron one day was on the Fresh and Fit podcast, and he was talking about this. There's levels to this stuff. Like you can be a guy who's a millionaire, and you can get your girl who wants to be with a millionaire guy. But there's guys in the world who make $2 million. You're a $1 million a year guy. There's a guy who makes $2 million a year. So there's never an end.
Right.
To the fact that you can get dunked on if a woman perceives herself to have the ability to upgrade.
Right.
So yeah, so like as a man, it is your responsibility to understand the lane that you operate in and to move accordingly. So if you're like, don't buy into this idea that you're inadequate because you're $50K a year guy. You're not inadequate because you're $50K a year guy. You're not. It's just women who are deluded like this, who believe that they are living in 100K a year space, view you as inadequate. It's irrational, but you just shouldn't pay attention to it. But if you are a 50K a year guy, know the space that you operate in and make sure that you're dealing with 30, 40, 45K a year woman, because otherwise there are going to be way too many challenges that present themselves when it comes to how you're trying to orient your relationship with this individual if that baseline compatibility doesn't exist. And so, yeah, if you're 75K a year, old girl is going to be like, well, there's 100K a year guy. If you're 100K a guy, if you're 100K a year guy, old girl is going to be like, there's 150K. There's always a level to aspire to. You know what I'm saying? Like, unless you're Elon Musk or Bezos or one of these people, there's always a level above yours, even if you're at $1 million. So you're just going to have to learn how to best operate in the space that you're occupying. And the last thing that I'm going to say personally is the door on this stuff swings both ways. So just like women like this can talk about how there aren't enough eligible black men, I can talk about how there aren't enough eligible black women if we really wanted to take it there. Like if we really wanted to take it there, I can get on my TikTok and make a video about how there aren't enough eligible black women, because you're talking about education, financial status, and achievement in life. Okay, well, I can talk about being childless, being physically in shape, and being physically attractive if we want to take it there. So if I wanted to play the same game, there's always an opposite side to the same coin.
Absolutely.
I can talk about how as a black man who is upwardly mobile, I'm finding myself not being around enough eligible black women because I'm not finding enough black women who are cute, physically in shape, and aren't single mothers, which are all traits that men innately seek in women. If we really wanted to take it there. Now, it's up to your individual preferences, right? So we all as men have preferences that vary across the board, but I think whatever is attractive to you as a man, that's what you seek. Whatever is in shape to you as a man, that's what you seek. And I think any man who is of stable, sound mind and body, who is emotionally mature, desires a woman to not be a single mother, to be childless. I don't think it's beyond the pale for me to say that. I don't think it's unreasonable for me to say that if a man has his preference, he prefers to date women who are not single mothers. Now, could you get along with and be in a good relationship with a woman who's a single mother? Sure, but we're talking about optimally what is it that you seek? Just like optimally these women are seeking men who are on their level or above in terms of finances and education. Optimally, a man would prefer to seek a woman who is not a single mother, who's childless, so that you can establish that foundation from a point of, there not being any of that baggage that is inherent in either party. So if we want to take it there and talk about amount of eligible, prospects, the door swings both ways. It goes on either side. So I can play that card if I chose to. Where are all of the black women who are cute and physically in shape and aren't single mothers? And it gets even further, just like you said, the list even further dwindles when you bring in things like height. The list even further dwindles for when we're talking about women, when you bring in things like education and achievement and how much money they make. The number dwindles drastically when we bring in those qualifiers. I'm just sticking to the looks and the lack of being a single mom. And I'm saying, where are all the women who fit that bill? So, if you want to take it there, we can take it there because the door swings both ways. I'm just saying on either side, it can be problematic when you are exposing yourself to rhetoric of this caliber on a regular enough basis, and you don't have the wherewithal to be reasonable enough to understand what lane or space that you're operating in and how to properly contextualize how you feel about these various dynamics. And so we all have to keep that kind of stuff in mind, including women like this. I ain't trying to take nothing away from them, but they operate in 100K a year world. Not every woman does, and 90% of women don't, because that's only 10% of the population, and people just got to keep that in mind.
And you forgot to add not masculine to your list.
Oh, so, there you go. Yeah.
That just shot any. Well, I'm not. Oh, I forgot that you can't be masculine either. Yeah. Where's the pool now?
Right. Yeah.
Where's the pool now? So yeah, man. And again, this modern woman thing, it's a phenomenon that this thing is ugly. And so if you're a 40K guy and she doesn't subscribe to any of this stuff, she's more traditional. She understands femininity. She understands submission. She understands these concepts. You still have to dominate her. All right. But it's not the hypergamous weird stuff. The hypergamous weird stuff comes from the modern women, period. And you can find out you're dealing with a modern woman with a simple survey. All right. Just, what I'm saying? When y'all having y'all conversations, just take notes. Oh, you only want how many kids because you don't want to get in the way of your career? Got it. Oh, you need a man to idealistically. You want how many bedrooms? Got it. What kind of car do you trying to have? Oh, I have to have a luxury. Got it. Because everything that she throws on her list, even if you have it, if somebody has a better version of it, she's hopping dick.
Yes.
So there's a modern woman handbook that they all read from. So you'll know which ones you're dealing with. And if you have a modern woman on your roster right now, fellas, then treat them accordingly. And they just want to be dominated. All right. So there's a difference between domination, all right, and dictatorships. Find the medium, guys, play it well, but dominate them. And that's basically all they've been crying for, because masculinity as a whole has been under fire. And we talked about this before on several pods, where masculinity as a whole has been targeted through mass media and all these other things that's been targeting masculinity at, the foods. So when guys are coming up and stuff like that, what women are actually yearning for, these various levels of domination. Not that I agree with all of it, but that's part of making a woman submit, is domination. And then men, and at every angle, they've been taught and trained to not be dominant. Go swipe your badge, go do this, follow the rules. And this is another thing, one more thing, because women are excellent at school. Why is that? And boys are always messing up. They always, as there guys in school who do well? Yeah. But if we're talking as a whole, why are women running circles around men in school? Why are they populating these colleges so much, but not the guys so much? It's because they just have to follow rules. They have to submit. And they just go in there submitting to rules. The guys don't. They end up in detention. And so there's a thing where this economic system has been set up to just follow these rules. If there's a guy in there that says, nah, I want to have my own empire, I want to have my own this, my own that, or whatever, he's straying away from cubicle lifestyle, limited man. And so he has to go out there and get it off the muscle all himself. And that is a struggle to try to build your own empire. It's not always easy. And so for a guy to have the guys in the workforce, they are making the same kind of money as the women that's there. The women that's there see this guy subservient to another guy, because I'm being submissive. You in here with me. We both being submissive. I want a boss. Oh, you want a boss. So you want somebody that runs his own thing, or higher up in the, the work food chain or whatever. So their mindset is always looking at domination. So the reason why they're running circles is because these institutions were set up for feminine energy, period. And so guys that have their own sense of, hey, I want to go out there, they go out and they create a podcast, right? They go out there and they try to create things for themselves so they can build, grow, and develop and have something to call their own, because that's what men naturally and innately want. They weren't meant to work in these slave systems that's been set up. And while these women are working in these systems, they subconsciously see that you have to obey a boss. So at the end of the day, the reason why they're running circles in these jobs is because it's set up for that. And as you can see, if you go to customer service anywhere, it's an effeminate male behind that counter, because they would rather have him working, because he's going to listen. He's not going to buck the system. So this is definitely this, I'm saying there's a lot to go with this, but I'll just stick with the key component there, is that, fellas, don't listen to the code speak. It's great that we can be able to digest it and interpret it now, because if you just listen to them for face value, you'll be way on that other side of the street instead of dead center as you need to be. So yeah, man, interesting stuff here, interesting topic. Definitely some fire lit here, that's for sure.
Yeah. I like I said, on the surface, I don't really have an issue too much with what they are saying, principally, but there's too much contextualization there. There's too much
Absolutely.
nuance, and that's what I have an issue with. I won't say that this is rhetoric that is as dangerous as the one that we talked about last
No,
week,
last week was
where
crazy.
a chick wants to talk about stressing a dude out to make him love you. But this is getting close to bordering on dangerous. But because there is some practicality inherent in it, I can't go so far as to say it's entirely dangerous.
Yeah.
But it can be problematic. I'll go that far. It can be problematic for sure. And if this kind of platform, or if women like this had a disclaimer before every video saying this content mostly applies to women who make top 10% income per year, then maybe I'd give it a pass. But there's a swath of people out there. There's a whole entire population, 90%, in fact, because only 10% of the total population, again, makes more than 100K a year. So there's an entire population of people out here to whom this type of stuff, it serves as a detriment if you truly ingratiate yourself with it. So, it is what it is. I'll leave it at that. Good conversation, good talk. Guys, if you're out there, know the lane that you play in. Don't let these women bully you into believing that you're inadequate because you're not in the top 10%. That is, it's a counterproductive mindset to have, and it leads to a lot of mental health issues and all of that kind of stuff that we could get more into if we have more time. But we'll go ahead and end it on that note. This is a great video, great week, great conversation. But then again, I'm not saying nothing new because we always bring heat on this channel each and every week. So this is not a new phenomenon, ladies and gentlemen. If you are watching this stream, certainly appreciate you watching the stream. Leave a comment, like the video. Please subscribe to the channel if you're not a part of the tribe, because we are growing, best believe. Conscious Approach is on Instagram at Conapproach, CONAPPROACH, and be on the lookout for video updates on TikTok because that is coming as well. We also have the full content library on the website, consciousapproach.com, and we have this also being published to the meta page for as long as I have the patience to keep it up. And that patience is dwindling with each and every week, but I still have the capacity for it. So while I do, check it out on the meta page. If you happen to be on there, like the video there, share the video, comment where you see fit, because we always appreciate you supporting logical content. Once again, my name is JV Wins. That is Dogon SS. You can find me on Instagram at JV Wins. And I look forward to seeing you when we do our next video, because it'll be very much like this one, if not better. But it most certainly won't be worse because we always bring the heat.
That's right. Skr. And the name is Dogon SS. All right. You can find me on Instagrams at Dogon_SS or on YouTube at Dogon SS. And also, all right, working in the shadows on my college football channel. All right. The name is Hurricane Dogon. You guys can go over there and check that out if you guys are into sports, because, well, I love me some Miami Hurricanes. All right. So I talk about them and other things college football related. All right. Now I'm working in the shadows with that, but the release is coming very, very soon. All right. So you guys can catch me over there at the Hurricane Dogon channel. That's here on YouTube. All right. And as I always say on every pod, everybody, all right, don't be too high, don't be too low. Keep it calm, keep it chill, and keep it player, man. All right. Don't let anybody get you guys off of your pivots out here. All right. And fellas, dominate. All right. If you want to see that submission in that woman's eyes, I suggest you dominate, sir. All right. And until next time, everybody, we'll catch y'all on the flip side.
Yeah, facts. Race to 1K, man. Subscribe to that button. Current goal is 1,000 subscribers. We are getting there slowly but surely, and I am not putting a single dime behind this yet. So this is all organic, and this is all off the muscle. So if you are so inclined, hit that subscribe button. But until the next video, we will catch you on the flip side. We signing off. We'll see you later. Peace.
Peace. Skrrr.